Look at the weather outside. Absolutely disgusting. So yeah, it's still raining. So here we are at the workshop. It stopped raining, just thought I'd let you know. So yeah, I gotta go inside and do a compression test. So here we are in a not very warm workshop, 9.3 degrees. Probably get the heater on for a bit to warm it up. Then I'm going to hopefully crank over the SR20 drift car and get a compression reading. I'm hoping that it was just the battery that was flat, stopping the starter motor turning over. If not, then I'm probably going to have a look in my spare parts selection, which is in the shed at my parents' house, see if I've got anything left over from my old cars, and see if there's a starter motor there. If not, I'm going to be buying one, I guess, either used, reconditioned, or new. Probably not new, let's be honest, probably about 800 quid from Nissan. So yeah, and obviously that'll be a stumbling block, so let's see if it will crank over. Okay, so just about managed to turn the engine over enough there. All four cylinders are showing, according to the gauge, it got to 75 psi, which isn't enough at all. I don't know if that's because the battery and the starter motor are struggling to turn the engine over fast enough, because the gauge was still going up slowly, or if there's another problem, I don't know. But strange that it's across all four cylinders. So basically I'm going to do a cylinder leakage test. Basically a cylinder leakage test puts compressed air into the cylinder when it's at TDC, so all the valves should be closed, so then you can hopefully detect how much air is being lost, either by exhaust valves, inlet valves, or piston rings. So yeah, basically I'll show you what that looks like. We've got this snap-on cylinder leakage testing kit. So it's got one gauge which shows how much pressure you're putting into the cylinder, and the other gauge shows how much leakage there is, because it can tell the difference between how much is going in and how much is being lost. Low, moderate and high leakage. Then it's a case of listening. You can pull the dipstick out, see if you can hear it coming out of the dipstick tube, which would indicate piston rings, losing the air through the piston rings. Or you can listen through the exhaust. If you can hear it going out of the exhaust, then it's probably the exhaust valves not seating correctly. And if you can hear it coming out of the intake, again, probably the intake valves. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So first off, we need to get it onto TDC on cylinder 1, and we do that by putting this down to the spark plug hole. It screws into the spark plug threads, and then turn the engine over, and it's got a little whistle here. So as you turn it, when you find TDC, it should whistle like a kettle. The other way you can do it is obviously using the other way you could do it is using a gauge, such as a dial gauge, I can't remember what the correct term is, with like a needle on it. Needle dial gauge, that's some shit terminology. But anyway, yeah, or even a screwdriver, long, thin screwdriver, and you can see when it gets to TDC. Obviously, if you compress the cylinder when it's not fully on TDC, you'll just blow the piston back down the bore, and then you'll have to start again. So yeah, the aim is to get it bang on TDC, and it will hold, hopefully hold compression. Fingers crossed. So let's do it. Right, so after a little bit of playing about with it, the engine that is, I basically put the whistle thing into the cylinder spark plug hole, into the cylinder head, and you turn it over until the whistle blows, then you know it's on a compression stroke, and then you take it out, and ideally you'd use a DTI gauge to check when the piston is on like TDC. So either side of TDC, if you fill the cylinder with air, you'll just blow the piston back down the bore, and then you'll lose all the pressure. So you need it to be bang on TDC, so it will hopefully hold compression. So yeah, I've obviously got very low readings on the compression test, but we think that's because the battery's not turning the engine over fast enough, or the starter motor's not. And when we've done all 4 cylinders on the leakage test, it's been fine. It's been in the green, so a very low percentage of loss. So yeah, all 4 cylinders are the same, so from that we take it that there's not a problem. I am planning to get another battery on there and starter motor, just to be sure, to check them all over anyway. But I'm pretty confident that the engine's fine. You know, as it ran fine before and drove fine, and obviously there's no leakage. So yeah, pretty pleased about that, to be honest. It does get looked after, to be fair. I'm not the most abusive driver, I don't think, apart from breaking drive shafts. And I do look after the car. I always maintain it, always gets warmed up properly, cooled down properly, and regular oil changes with decent high quality oil from Fuchs Lubricants, sponsor plug there. So yeah, it always gets looked after, so that's all you can do really, to, you know, make sure the engine's built right to start with, and maintain it and not abuse it, and hopefully it will last as long as possible. But yeah, obviously drifting being the abusive sport, or any motorsport, is hard on engines and components and parts, so I'm not expecting it to last forever. But one more season would be nice, so touch wood. Yeah, so let me show you what the gauges read on the cylinder leakage tester, and then you can get an understanding of what it is and what it means. So we're doing number 4 cylinder at the back of the engine. It's on TDC or compression stroke, and I've got it all set up. So when you plug the air line on, pump the cylinder with air, and this is what will be read. So as you can see here, it's putting the air pressure into the cylinder, and it's showing a low percentage of loss, just under 20%, so I think that's close to 15 maybe. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. So now I'm happy with the way it's the way it's running. I'm going to take the cams out and replace the hydraulic lifters. Since we built the engine, we didn't replace the lifters, and I've noticed that whatever since it was built, that it's been a bit noisy. So I'm hoping that the lifters, one of them is slightly weak, shall we say, and that replacing them will help the engine, at least make it help it to be more reliable, because if one was to fully fail, could be bad consequences for the engine. we don't want that. So yeah, it's just a precaution more than anything. So yeah, we're going to get onto that. I'm going to leave that for tomorrow though, because I'm running out of time now. So yeah, check back in tomorrow and we can go through that, and you can watch the install of the new hydraulic lifters, and hopefully it will all be finished and running by the end of the day. Fingers crossed. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.